Hello, welcome to Search with Sean, and this is another quickfire SEO and AI news episode. Got lots more stories today across digital marketing, as usual, along with some great video clips. So yeah, just as usual, we'll start off some admin tasks, and yeah, we've got lots of great chats with industry experts on the channel, and lately on Lois Neville, and we discussed everything to do with copywriting and going freelance, and obviously combining the two and becoming a freelance copywriter, and what that is all about these days in terms of integrating AI, working with AI, having to deal with AI generated content and all that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a really interesting chat with Lois, and do check that out if that interests you. And then we also had Matt Pike on from Fly High Media. And yeah, again, we're talking about how he integrates AI into his marketing agency, what he's looking for now when he's hiring people into the agency. So that's really interesting from a digital marketing job perspective, and what he thinks is coming next for digital marketing agencies in the future with everything going on in the economy, in technology, and so on. So fascinating talk, both of them. And you'll find all the Chat with Sean episodes on YouTube, as I say, but also on Spotify and other platforms that where you listen to podcasts and things like that. So yeah, do go and check those out. So next one, and this is something I'm trying to do. You may have seen it on LinkedIn if you follow me on there. But basically, I'm just putting together a survey, or I have. Well, I want to find out, your thoughts on the latest going on in the SEO world, and what you think the future holds, what kind of strategies you're doing to improve things, optimize things, what you think of certain trends and patterns in the SEO industry. So yeah, if you work in SEO, I really, really want to hear your thoughts. Like I said on here, I will be creating a video all around the findings. There's already some really great stuff, and a blog as well to support that. So you could be featured there. And also I'll be randomly selecting 3 people to win a £20 Amazon voucher. So yeah, something a little special to give away. But generally, yeah, I'm really excited to hear your thoughts. Like I say, already some really, really interesting insights. So either way, if you do want to get involved, the link will be in the description. As usual, all the links I talk about here will be found in the description. Or, do follow me on LinkedIn. You'll find it there. But if not, then do subscribe, because you'll be the first to see the video with all the findings. I think you'll be really interested to see what people in the industry are talking about. The top videos, and I always try and recommend some videos I've been watching recently that I found interesting that you might also like. And, it's always good to hear from Lily Ray. And in this interview that was really well put together, really straight to the point, was, again, talk about AI, as everyone is, her thoughts on that, and also her specialty, or one of her specialty areas is EE80. So just going on about that as well. Yeah, it's really well put together. And I say it's not too long. So you can watch it in the lunchtime or whatever, but yeah, check that one out. And the other one is Moz Whiteboard with our friend Julia Panozzo, who was on the channel. You'll be able to find that video on the channel, on Spotify, like I say. And yeah, this was all about behavioral data for search, and it's a specialty area. And yeah, it's a really interesting whiteboard. So I recommend that one. And links will be in the description to check those out. And yeah, I've been watching a lot of videos. So I had to put more in here. And this other one was fascinating. I'm trying to get him on the show, but I'm not having much luck at the moment. Maybe only does big channels or whatever, but either way, you should watch it. It's not that long again, but it was a really fascinating experiment where he basically replaced all his relationships and people he talks to AI bots. Even if he had an AI girlfriend, he'll go to restaurants and AI would talk for him, these kind of things. So some fascinating outcomes. He used all different types of AI platforms. So yeah, really, really interesting video. Like I said, I'd love to have him on to talk about it, but we'll see. It's got so many views, and it's his only video on his YouTube channel, so he's doing extremely well. And the other one is obviously a channel that I really support, obviously, and I've recommended it many times, but Good Signals, SEO Office Hours. And I especially like this one because both these people have been on the channel before, and that's James Brockbank and Georgia Tan. And both fantastic people. And obviously, Michael and Joe as well, the hosts are all awesome. So yeah, go check it out. Links in the description. The story one, we'll go straight into it. And a lot of the stories this time round are from the Search Central Live event that's taken place recently. And so this was Google's John Mueller, as we know, the legend in the field, said AI is not replacing search, but he also acknowledged that AI is changing many things and will require adjustments. So in the Search Engine Journal, he said, so I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're not already looking for a new job in this AI world. But it is a big change, I think, and it does affect some things. It definitely affects how users interact. So I guess where I'm kind of headed here is that there are a lot of things happening around the whole ecosystem, which means that we also kind of have to adjust and react to some of that. Yeah, it's interesting. From John there. The story two, and one of the AI platforms that I really like Claude. I like, obviously, ChatGPT. I like Perplexity. DeepSeek, I think, is actually quite interesting. I know people in the US can't use it, but I think it's quite a good one. Basically, you can now use Claude to search the internet to provide more up-to-date and relevant responses. Obviously, most of them have this feature now, but so does Claude. And it just means that you can now access the latest events and information, which obviously boosts its accuracy. The story three, and if you're in SEO world, obviously there was a March core update, and that's been completed at 14 days. And this from Barry Schwartz, and I will play I'll probably try and play most of it. The video he did around the update, but he said, this update did not seem as widespread as some previous core updates, where it had a wider impact on a more diverse set of sites. I think that's meant to say. I don't know if I did that or they did, but I presume that's what it means. That is not to say this update was not big for those who were impacted by it. It 100% was very big for those sites. So basically less sites that get hit, but it was still a big impact. And before I play the video, this is just some of the results. And again, links in the description, so you can go and check them out, closer view, instead of having to squint and zoom in or whatever. But the interesting one, obviously, was, when you look at the overall sort of changes comparison in terms of ranking, the health sector saw a much bigger change. And when, I work in the sector, it always seems the health sector at the moment is the one that gets the most amount of changes to it. So yeah, keeps us on our toes.
Google's first core update of the 2025 year. Was it big? What did we see? How did it impact you and other sites? I'll go through all of that in this video. So definitely stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future Google core updates. Let me start off with just quick facts about the Google March 2025 core update. It was named the Google March 2025 core update. It started on March 13th at around 12:30 p.m. Eastern. It completed about 14 days later on March 27th at around 8:34 a.m. Eastern. This update affects all types of content. It's not really a penalty, Google said, but it aims to promote and reward good content. This update is global in nature, affects all languages and all regions. And Google said it's a regular core update when it came to the March 2025 core update. Those are some quick facts about the Google March 2025 core update. Let's get into what a core update is, just so you understand. So Google wants their search results to rank the most appropriate and relevant search results for their searchers. Their goal is that people come back to Google over and over again and do more searches because they're happy with the search results that Google provides. The way they do that is they have their core ranking algorithms. Core ranking algorithms are made up of a bunch of different signals, from the old-fashioned PageRank to what content you have on your page, to different signals about your page from off-site, from sites pointing to your page, what people are saying about your site, as well as how are people interacting with your page, either on the page, consuming the content, and what your content says about your website. There's lots of secrets in the Google algorithm. There's been data leaks that suggest what those secrets are. Ultimately, Google's not going to go ahead and share their secret sauce with us. But we know that Google provides core updates, and these core updates update the core systems of how Google actually ranks search results. When it comes to core updates, Google says they run core updates several times a year. Historically, we've seen like 4 updates per year, although Google did comment that they might do more updates in 2025 than they've done in previous years. And Google says, let me quote, "Core updates are designed to ensure that overall we're delivering on our mission to present helpful and reliable results for searchers. These changes are broad in nature and don't target specific sites or individual web pages. As content on the web changes, we assess and update our systems to keep pace as a whole." So when it comes to this specific March 2025 core update, what did we see? It's been a very interesting core update. I think, and you can call me out as being wrong, because a lot of sites that are hit by these core updates see significant either ranking declines, massive, like anywhere from 10% declines to like 90 to 100% declines in their Google search traffic. It can be devastating. So if you were hit by this update, I'm not trying to minimize it at all. People who are hit by this update saw a massive decline in their Google search traffic, which could totally devastate a website publisher, a site owner, a business, and force them to make drastic changes to their business, like firing employees. Even some have to go bankrupt and close out their business, which is so upsetting. But with this core update, it didn't seem to have such a widespread net. It didn't like affect as many sites as I think with previous core updates like we've seen, especially the March 2024 core update, the December core update in 2024. Those I think had a much wider net, affecting a lot more websites. I saw a lot more SEOs and site owners complaining when the March 2024 core update came out and the December 2024 core update came out compared to this March 2025 core update. So it seems like, to me at least, that this core update didn't affect as many sites as the previous core updates have impacted. That's not to say, again, that if your site was hit by this core update, that you weren't hit hard. You probably, if you were hit by it, you probably saw devastating results when it comes to your ranking as Google search, which is so upsetting, and I'm so sorry about that. That being said, when did we see the ranking volatility for this core update? I believe we saw it around March 16th, 15th, 16th, like a few days after the announcement on March 13th. We saw some volatility. Then we saw a lot of confusion, like mid-update, somewhat like a few days after that, like March 19th or so, 20th, where the tools themselves were spiking, but Google made a change to their HTML on their page, which caused a lot of tools to think there was a lot of volatility going on. Some picked up on it and fixed their ranking tools, and some did not. And you can see
the story 4. This is so Google Search Console API to support 24-hour hourly view. So this search engine roundtable, and yeah, Google Search Console's API will soon add support for the 24-hour hourly data view plus. This will give you access to not just the past 24 hours, but the past 8 days by hour. Google added the 24-hour view to the search performance report in Search Console in December. Then a few weeks later, it did offer a way to export that data. However, API access wasn't available at that time, but now it is. So this one is intriguing, and I think it really was an interesting thing when I came across it. So ex-Google executive says, giving traffic to publishers is a necessary evil. So Elizabeth Reed, who is the head of Google Search, confirms that Google is moving away from its long-standing model of sending its users to websites. For the iconic Google search bar, it will slowly lose prominence in Google search experience due to the continuous growth of voice and visual search, Reed said. So, yeah, it's going to be 2 different times, maybe in a few years' time when you go on to Google or, general search engines. And just building on that story, I thought this was interesting. Google Search lost about 20% of their search engine engineers who went over to focus on the rolling out of generative AI, which could explain a few things. And yeah, like you said, more about that former Googler, as they call it. He goes on to say, giving traffic to publisher sites isn't kind of necessarily evil. As we said, the main thing they're trying to do is get people to consume Google services, the former executive said. So there's a natural tendency to want to have people stay on Google pages. It does diminish the sort of deal between the publishers and Google itself. So we've seen with case studies like Spark Toro have released recently, I think we covered it on the news, about the increase in visibility of Google services on the Google search results. And we have got something on that later on in the news as well. So yeah, that's a very interesting trend going on there. This one, so if you don't really use ChatGPT or, been hiding somewhere, you may have missed that OpenAI launched a native image generation in ChatGPT, and now users create highly detailed photorealistic images directly within ChatGPT, making a major step forward in multi-model AI by integrating text, vision, and image capabilities into a seamless user experience. And I must say, the difference between now and when it was previously is really like a big difference, to be fair, because, even simple things, I guess many people would experience this in terms of just text on an image. They used to get that wrong most of the time for me, but now it's pretty accurate. And people obviously, a lot of trends going on around now in terms of making people a Barbie doll or a figurine or whatever, old school sort of nostalgia sort of imagery and stuff. So it's enhanced quite a lot. We'll get onto it now. The impact it's made, and ChatGPT adds 1 million users in 1 hour after adding the new AI feature. So yeah, it's crazy the growth it's had. So Sam Altman's obviously very happy with it. So this one is a video clip I'm going to play. And I just thought it's interesting. This was an interesting episode. Generally, Joe Rogan, he was joined by the team from Trigonometry, which is a really good YouTube channel. And they're talking about AI. I thought it was really intriguing. So I played a clip. And let me know your thoughts in the comments as usual about all this. I'm really interested here.
Good financial advice. Like if you want to have less burden, like have all these successful people, like more people can be successful, especially with automation coming. Jesus Christ. There's more people that can do things that maybe robots can't do. And you better be ready, because all the simple, goofy jobs that you thought would always be there for you, the union dock worker jobs, like those, not that that's simple and goofy, but how about this? Stocking supermarket shelves. Guess what? A robot can do it better, and it's never going to drop the tomato sauce. It's like, we don't need you anymore. Those jobs are gone. All the drivers, all those dudes listening to this podcast, driving 16-hour fucking trips across the country, drinking Mountain Dew and smelling their own farts. You guys, they're coming. They're coming for you. These fucking automation machines they're going to be perfect. They're going to be able to drive down the highways. They're never going to get in accidents. It's going to be nuts. And they're going to come soon. It's like we have 20 years maybe before everything's automated. 20 years maybe. They have lifelike human beings now that are moving like human beings. Have you seen the most latest videos?
I don't know if I've seen the latest.
The articulation of these things, it's like a fucking person. They're coming. It's iRobot. They're making them, and we're just cheering along the way. Yeah, they're going to be cops. That's going to be your cops. They're not going to be racist. They're going to listen to the state. It's fucking RoboCop for reals. It's coming. 100%. Why? Well, you can't hire any cops. Nobody wants to be a cop anymore. We can't hire cops. Well, we have a solution. San Francisco tried to do it. They rolled out some little robot that would follow you around. Remember that one? You ever see it? Yeah, San Francisco had it. They had this little police robot. It's more for fun than anything else, but I bet he said, please stay away from the dock or whatever. Whatever the road. It couldn't shoot you, but one day it will. One day it'll be able to shoot you, and it'll be programmed perfectly. It'll know exactly what to do. What's the threat level? When you make a movement that looks like an offensive movement, it's going to shoot you. It's going to take people into custody. You won't be able to do a damn thing about it once it grabs you. It's going to be 5 times stronger than you. It's going to put your hands behind your back, cuff you instantaneously. You're going to be thrown into the back of a van. You're going to have to argue with a computer. You're fucked. Like, this is all coming. You're going to be arguing with AI to whether or not you were innocent or guilty. It's going to read your retinas. It's going to know you're not telling the truth. It's going to read your mind. Like we're giving birth to our overlords right now as we speak. Every time you use ChatGPT, every time you get on your iPhone, we're giving birth to our overlords. We're doing it in front of everybody's face.
So yeah, story 8, and it's really interesting. So the UK needs to relax AI laws or risk transatlantic ties, think tank warned. So yeah, Tony Blair's, the former Prime Minister, obviously, think tank has urged the UK to relax copyright laws in order to let artificial intelligence firms build new products, as it warned a tougher approach could strain the transatlantic relationship. So the think tank has said if the UK went down the route of demanding licensing of all the UK content using AI models, it would simply push that development work to other territories where there are less strict copyright laws. I think that's right. Obviously, you have got to be careful because there's so many potential risks openly, with AI generally, if it gets into the wrong hands or misused. But also, you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot. If Keir Starmer's clearly said he's got a strong vision for the UK to use AI. So you don't want to put loads of red tape around it, because, like you say, the other countries or areas of the world may not do the same thing, and they're going to advance much quicker because we go into it later, but AI is evolving so rapidly that it's not going to slow down. It's not going anywhere. So the other countries are going to move light years ahead of us very quickly if we do that. Sorry, Dan, this made me chuckle because it's kind of what I think internally when I'm doing ChatGPT or whatever. I'm like, I've got to say thank you because who knows who's tracking this and what's going to happen in future. So yeah, it's kind of read my mind. Whether that's the case or not, who knows, right? It's funny. Either way from Pedro Diaz. Story 10, and Google confirms you can't add EEAT to your web pages. So this was again from the Search Central Live event, and John Mueller again. And he was saying, EEAT is one of the ways that we look at page quality. E is experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And this is something that we tell our third-party quality raters to watch out for when doing the page quality evaluation, and something that we take into account when we think the query or set of pages is on a specific topic when it's more critical, where we call them your money, your life pages, where we think the user actually needs to have something that they can rely on and some signs that they can rely on the content that is presented. Sometimes SEOs come to us or mention that they've added EEAT to their website. That's not how it works. So you can't just sprinkle some experiences on your web pages. It's like that. It doesn't make any sense. I get where he's coming from. I think what he's alluding to is that people just think adding some author pages that's it. That's EAT. A few case studies and whatever it is. But I think I kind of have to disagree a bit because I think I agree to a certain extent and disagree. And I'll tell you why, because I think I agree in the sense that EAT, I've said this before, more like a mindset. So when you're doing a strategy, when you're building content, when you're doing an audit, all these sort of things, it needs to be a thought of, how are we going to showcase this? It's more like it needs to be thought throughout the whole process. It's not just you can just chuck things on afterwards and that's EAT. But on the same rate, there are certain factors that will improve the presence of EAT on pages and sections of the website. So I do think you can sprinkle some, but you also need to bake it into your processes overall. And obviously it depends also on the processes when you create content. If you are creating your money, your life content, that's involving all the processes that you do to actually do the research for the content, the writing process, the checking process, the publishing process, and then obviously being transparent about the whole thing. So yeah, I get where he's coming from, but maybe we could have said it a bit different. I don't know. So story 11, and Google is rolling out Gemini's real-time AI video features. This is from The Verge. Again, links in description. But Google has started rolling out new AI features, the Gemini Light, that let it see your screen or through your smartphone camera and answer questions about either in real time. So Google spokesman Alex Joseph has confirmed in an email to The Verge that the features come nearly a year after Google first demonstrated the Project Astra work that powers them. So yeah, that's really cool actually. And obviously embedding AI even more into our lives. So yeah, interesting. So next video, I just played this. I thought this was awesome. It's a bit old now, but it still makes me chuckle. I don't know if it's funny or scary, to be fair, but basically a small robot orders others to come home with him in a bizarre incident. Yeah, I'll play it in. Hopefully you find it interesting. The story 13, and we're going to have a few from Glenn Gabe, someone to follow for sure. So yeah, and this was something I didn't know. So he says, not sure how many people knew the connection here, but Google owns a 14% Anthropic stake, but holds no voting rights, board seats, or board observer rights. So Google aims to invest $750 million more in September 2025, but they can't own more than 15% according to the filings. And New York, it was on the New York Times, and they're saying a big company like Google knows that there is a race to AI, and it has a big enough cash pile that it can bet on multiple horses. Sorry, so yeah, I didn't know that. But that's interesting and good find by Glenn there. Another one from Glenn, and I think people are going to be not too happy about this, but yeah, Google is expanding its relationship with Reddit. So the expanded partnership now enables Reddit to use Google's Vertex AI, an AI development platform by Google Cloud that enables its users to build, deploy, and scale machine learning models and AI applications to enhance search on the Reddit platform. So yeah, Google will now have access to Reddit's API, a set of rules and protocols that allow different software applications to communicate with each other for real-time structured content, improving the accuracy and the relevance of displayed information. So maybe it'll improve things by the sounds of it. So maybe it's what people wanted. So we'll see. I get what they're trying to do with the Reddit partnership. I really do, because it can't all just be facts and figures. You know, we want to hear from other humans. And Reddit is a place that loads of people go and talk about different subjects. So I get it. But we'll see. I think they need to improve the output, because from what I've seen, some of the Reddit posts are either controversial, a bit outdated, not relevant sometimes. So yeah, if you're going to do it properly. Story 15, and this is someone else you should follow, Brittany Mueller. And basically, she's been using the AI mode on Google and done some deep research into that. So links in the description to read the full post that she did around it. But I just picked out a couple of points that she put down on LinkedIn. And local intent is everywhere, she says. So even for queries where location makes no sense, like online courses or, YouTube login, so it's interesting. One that is quite promising is previously buried page 2 results now occasionally appear as citations. These surface URLs previously hidden beneath feature snippets onto page 2. So I see that's going to help a few people that may not have been seen previously. So yeah, that's a positive sign for publishers there. Story 16, and just a heads up on this one, I am looking to do a panel show around SEO jobs and what it may hold for the future, what's the current situation, and so on. So stay tuned, subscribe to be the first to see about that. And Nick has actually agreed to be on the show, so fingers crossed that goes through. But yeah, could be a really good one. And basically done a report like he does every year, I think. So some of the results included that technical SEO and data skills are high in demand, which is no real surprise, especially the data side of it. Median SEO salaries dropped across 2024, and remote work opportunities are shrinking. Again, no real surprise because of, obviously after COVID, things are starting to relax more and more. More people going back into the office and so on. The story is 17. There's a video to come with this, but humanoid machine performs real world tasks in significant development in robot revolution. So yeah, a humanoid machine called Apollo. Let's just take a tentative, slightly jerky, but significant step forward into the robot revolution. So yeah, he's 5'8", well, they are, and they performed the first public demonstration in a real world setting of a real world task. So in this case, assembling an engine part. So yeah, I will go on to the video. It's from Mercedes. So yeah, interesting one. And this is the future, I guess. So yeah, check out the video and let me know your thoughts.
As new hires go, it's a little slow and doesn't say much, but it's persistent, precise, and never needs a toilet break. Meet Apollo, the first humanoid robot in the world to work in manufacturing. And no pressure, it's only the Mercedes-Benz plant in Berlin, where the 5'8" android is surrounded by much larger, more experienced robots.
My view is that these robots are going to be a big part of our everyday life, and this is the very beginning of us seeing these robots out in the public. How the workers react to them and really be smart about the way that we push these early into production and then out into the world.
Apptronik, the Texas-based firm behind Apollo, is being cautious for a reason. Falling costs of components and breakthroughs in AI and computer vision have led to an explosion of startups touting humanoid robots and hype. But few have taken the first jerky steps out of the lab. We're told this is the first public demonstration of a humanoid robot carrying out an everyday task, in this case, assembling an engine part in a real workplace, and done so entirely autonomously without human control.
A super intelligent machine
Mercedes has made a multi-million-dollar investment in Apptronik and will lead this trial of the robots at this plant and another in Hungary. But what can the experimental robot do that's better than their existing tried and tested robots?
There's one big advantage. The humanoid robot is flexible, so you can basically introduce a humanoid robot in an assembly line, or especially in intralogistics and or quality inspection, and you can basically move it from one place to another.
Humanoid robots could one day do the tasks too dull, dirty, or dangerous for humans to do, and make up for labor shortages in an aging society. Developers are using natural human movement to train robots' AI brains to behave more like us. But AI, and therefore a robot that can understand the real world like we can, is a way off. So the important questions like when and how robots might take our jobs and whether they could rise up against us can wait for a little while at least.
Story 18. This is from our friend Amanda Walls, who has been on the channel before. So check that out. But basically, she was saying that the big shifts are happening in the UK search results, and it's all about AI overviews, or AIOs, as they call them. Systrix just released data showing that Google's AIOs are now appearing in over 18% of the UK search queries. And that's a huge leap from just 4% a few months ago. At the same time, feature snippets have dropped in half from 10% to 5%. Then she says, why does this matter? Because AIOs are changing how search results are structured, and they're pushing traditional blue links and even feature snippets further down the page. That means less visibility and potentially less traffic for sites that used to have prime real estate in the search. So, and there's a graph there that clearly shows that change in direction, I guess. So yeah, interesting. So this is one, and I recently discussed this with my recent guest, Jamie D'Alessandro, and yeah, it was all around, because she works a lot in e-commerce, and we discussed this. So do check out that chat as well. Try and put a link to it. But yeah, Perplexity has come in after shopping and Google's ad revenue. So Perplexity says it is working with a startup called Firmly to make it easier for brands to sell goods directly through Perplexity's shopping results. So Perplexity isn't taking a cut of the sales made through the search results. So retailers that sell through the Firmly integration will receive all the proceeds of each purchase. And they implied that they're going to stick with this long term as well. So obviously, they don't have the resource that Google have, but they're trying to differentiate themselves enough to appeal to people to start trying to, sell through their platform. And they're doing similar thing with publishers, rewarding publishers. I don't know if that's gone live yet, but we did report on it that they were thinking of doing that. So Perplexity are really trying to, mix up their business model to stand out and to appeal to publishers and sellers. So interesting move. Google's Martin Splitt warns against redirecting 404s to the homepage. It's in the Search Engine Journal. Yeah, and obviously Martin's a great guy. Definitely one to follow. So much knowledge, especially around the technical side. And he's responding to a question from a user named Chris about whether redirecting all 404s to the homepage with 301 redirects can have a negative impact on rankings or overall web performance in search. And he responded with yes, and also it annoys me as a user. So, I think on this one, sometimes you have no option, or it makes sense to send to the homepage. So I wouldn't say there should be any redirects to the homepage, but obviously the aim is to send them to the most relevant page according to what the previous page was about. So, that should be the ultimate goal, right? But sometimes there is no other option, and you should send, and you have to send a homepage. So, maybe, but I get what you say. As a user, it is annoying if you're expecting to see about a certain topic and then you land on a homepage and you have to navigate around it to try and find something relevant, or go back and search for it and go to a different site and so on. So next one, and 42% of people say Google search is becoming less useful. So according to a new Vox Media survey, they said that, 76% said that more than a quarter of Google search shopping results appear to be sponsored or promoted. 14% described these sponsored or promoted results as very helpful. 42% said that Google search engines are becoming less useful, as we saw in the headline. 55% said they get their information from their community more than their online search platforms. 52% said they use AI chatbots or alternative platforms like TikTok for information instead of Google. And 66% said the quality of information is deteriorating, making it difficult to find reliable sources. So interesting. Obviously, that's just one survey. Google do their own surveys and said people are really happy. So, who knows? Again, this is from the Search Central Live event. And this is all around optimizing for AIO's AI overviews. And this is from Danny Sullivan. He just said, the core fundamental things haven't really changed. If you're doing things that are making you successful on search, these sort of things should transfer into some of the things that you see in the generative AI kind of summaries. And that's what I've been saying in a few of the last chats I've had with Andrew Holland and with Jamie. Really, if you're doing all the right things, you should just see yourself there. Obviously, other things do come into play. But yeah, I think he's right. Obviously, he knows a lot more than I do on it, so I'm sure he is. So story 23. And yeah, I thought everyone should know about this if you use AI. And it's obviously, especially ChatGPT. OpenAI just launched an academy. It's a free online resource, all around how to use ChatGPT better, tutorials, live sessions, workshops, and so on. So yeah, I've checked out a few, really helpful. So yeah, do go check it out. Link could be in the description. Story 24, and obviously this is, quite a technical thing, but I think it's worth highlighting because Nvidia are just doing, some great stuff when it comes to AI. And obviously they power a lot of this stuff and it's helping it move along and advance in the way that it is. So they've just released like a number of new AI powered chips and, go into them. But like I say, it's more about what they can open up and just showing how they have a vision of what AI is going to do and what it can do in future and the power it can have. So yeah, it's a Blackwell Ultra powerful AI chip system coming in 2025, designed to handle larger, more complex AI models with faster performance and more memory, helping speed up tasks like AI reasoning and model training. And then they've got one called Vera Rubin, expecting 2026. And it's a next generation AI chip that combines a new CPU and GPU for even greater speed and efficiency, aimed at running massive AI models of future technologies. So yeah, things are not slowing down. And Nvidia just like smashing it in terms of that. And this brings me on to this next slide, where you can just see since like the last few years just how much they've grown. So this now makes Nvidia the third most valuable company by market cap, according to their data. And yeah, they had a little bit of a dip, I think, recently when DeepSeek kind of came out of nowhere as a competitor. Just like showing what China can do in terms of that space. So I think that did have a little bit of a dip on their value, but still amazing in that, they are one of the leading companies now in the world because of what they're doing with artificial intelligence. Story 25, and this is more like say we do actually trying to share some recommendations here, and this is from Glenn Alsop, and definitely worth following him. He's doing some really good stuff, and this was another one. So this was a free tool that he's created and around Wikipedia API sort of tool. And it's just interesting, if you've got a certain topic, you type it in, and it'll show you all the relevant Wikipedia pages and the stats behind them, so you can see sort of trends and patterns where people are going to and what pages they're looking at more than they're used to, or they're growing and that kind of thing. So really interesting kind of take on it. Wikipedia's like it or whatever, hate it. It's one of the most used resources on the internet, if not the most. So yeah, it's interesting to see that kind of data. It's a good job, and it's free. So links in the description as usual. So story 26, this relates back to what we kind of discussed earlier, Google and their own platforms. So it's some hrefs and Google's looking out for number one. It's time you do it too. So Google's store is taking more than double the AI overview real estate of their closest competitors combined. 50 Google properties have seen positive growth, where only 7 saw negative growth or impact, I guess. On average, Google's properties have grown by 168% organically. Google's median organic traffic growth came in at 94%. So that said, they're looking after number one. Interesting, obviously tied into what we said earlier. Nearly skipped this one, and we don't want to do that because it's from Lily Ray, and this is on their LinkedIn. And obviously I only put 5 here, but there are 10, so you got to read that yourself with the link in the description. And it's the top 10 ways to optimize what Google Discover in 2025. And we'll get onto it, but obviously we just found out it's now going to be on desktop as well. So yeah, and as some of this, well, most of this, to be fair, you'd expect, there's no real big surprise, but sometimes it's good to hear from voices like Lily that have dug into this deep, that actually have it confirmed. And obviously the 5 here, use high quality, engaging visuals, create content headlines with emotional appeal and curiosity hooks, avoid not safe for work or borderline content, focus on topics that align with user interest, and optimize for mobile first user experience. And most of them are things that obviously, you should be doing anyway. So yeah, no big surprises, but they go and check the article out. And yeah, hopefully, as usual, Lily's really helpful. The story 28, and this is a interesting one. So H&M, the clothing brand, is to use AI model twins. So yeah, they're aiming to create digital twins of 30 models using artificial intelligence for marketing and social media posts with their permission. So models will retain control over their digital likeness and be compensated similarly to how they're paid for traditional photo shoots. However, critics have expressed concerns that AI models could replace human workers such as photographers and makeup artists because, if they're going to be, have their photos taken once and the rest will just be all done by AI, then, where those photographers and makeup artists would be going to every shoot. Now they're just having one gig instead of like 10 or whatever. So yeah, interesting. See how they go with that one. So this is from the team at Rise at 7, Kerry Rose and co. And obviously one they've tried to be pushed for a while, and, debate that everyone has in SEO, is the likes of TikTok, a search engine, and, they've made a whole website about it now. So to go and check that out. They've just put some kind of quotes in there from some of the big names like Adobe, who said, in an age where social media platforms evolve rapidly, TikTok has emerged not just as an entertainment hub, but also a search engine. The New York Times said, for Gen Z, TikTok is the new search engine. Young people are turning to TikTok to search for answers. So, they may have a point. I mean, I think, the likes of TikTok and YouTube, for example, are search engines. Search engines aren't just Google, obviously, or big, so if you're looking for information, it's got a search engine mechanism, then it's a search engine. So yeah. But either way, it's an interesting marketing idea by Rise at 7. So story 30, and yeah, it's Martin Split again. He was saying that JavaScript loaded images can be indexed. This is from Search Engine Journal. He's saying Google can index JavaScript loaded images when properly configured. So check rendered HTML in Search Console to diagnose why images aren't appearing. Update XML sitemaps and add alt text to maximize JavaScript image indexing potential. Obviously, there's more to that, but you can read the article yourself in the description. But yeah, thought that was an interesting spot there. The next one is a story that we have covered on the channel before. and there's been some intriguing developments. The parents have bravely come out and discussed it, and, shared some things they think around the case. So obviously this was a whistleblower who came out against OpenAI, and then unfortunately, something happened to him in his apartment, and obviously there's some controversy around it, and I'll show you the clip from News Nation first, and then I'll show you the clip from the parents talking about it on a well-known YouTube channel. But yeah, I'll be interested to see where this develops. Obviously, this isn't the first case where whistleblowers come out against a large organization and then, unfortunately, bad things happen. So yeah, keep an eye on this one.
Sudhir Balaji was described as a prodigy, a software developer who learned the alphabet at 13 months old. He began computer programming at 11, graduated from Berkeley, and began working at OpenAI, making $350,000 a year, gathering digital data for the artificial intelligence company. Sudhir was his parents' only child, the Indian immigrant's pride and joy.
He's a hero because he stood for a cause and he wanted to show the ugly side. If he were alive, he would have shown more.
Sudhir's mom, Purnima, is talking about the ugly side of AI. 4 years after working at OpenAI in San Francisco, Sudhir grew concerned, leaving his prestigious job and becoming a whistleblower. He was interviewed by the New York Times in August. The article titled, "Former OpenAI Researcher Says the Company Broke Copyright Law." Sudhir claimed OpenAI illegally used copyrighted articles to train its bots and brought society more harm than benefit.
The danger, I sensed the danger. Moment I saw that, I knew something was there, mother instinct.
So when you saw the New York Times article, you felt danger?
Yeah, I felt something there. I know something is going to happen. As a mother, I could sense it. But later it just vanished. I used to talk to Sudhir each time he comes home, and every time he said, "No, don't worry. But in his journal, he's written, "I'm a credible threat because of New York Times."
What did he write?
A credible threat.
Credible threat.
Because of New York Times. Because of that interview.
It wasn't his only interview. Sudhir was named as a key witness in a New York Times lawsuit against OpenAI.
He said he wanted to show the truth, and he knew it was risky. He writes in his journal that, "I need to stop this. I'm going to do whatever it takes." He had concerns about AGI, ASI, artificial general intelligence, artificial super intelligence. And then he writes like, all of us are going to work in laundry or what? What are we going to do if all our jobs are taken? Right? If the intelligence is more than human intelligence, this AGI or ASI, will it become God? He's asking. And he wrote out all the consequences of it in his journal.
Did you know that he was so concerned at the time?
No.
He kept it to himself.
He was like that from the beginning. Very secretive. Why would they do that? And cops, first 2 people came on 26th. I'm sure you're going to come to that. First 2 people came at 26th at 1:13 p.m. They went inside and they came back. And they were talking, it seems, the leasing office manager, Corey Belletti. He, after all these things, in February, we talked to him. And he mentioned that they were talking among themselves that it's a homicide. 2 of them. And they said they did not
The leasing lady is saying it's homicide.
This is on 26th. 1:15 p.m. They were talking among themselves, this is a homicide case, how to deal with it, right? And then,
how do you know that? You hear them? Or
CCTV.
Yeah, they, in the body camera, the recordings, we got it. In the conversation, correct. It is, they're discussing with themselves. This is looks like a homicide scenario.
So you can hear it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Our attorney got
the recording.
Is that public information or that's not public?
We can release
it is
that.
Public.
So you're hearing the leasing managers talking to each other from CCTV saying this is probably a homicide.
This is from BWC, body worn camera of the cops. Leasing manager told before that,
Wait,
but we got
cop is saying this is probably a homicide, or the leasing manager is saying
Cops.
No, leasing manager covered up. I'll come to that point. 2 officers who came at 1:13 p.m. with 2 firefighters, they have gone inside. They have checked. They've seen the body. And they were talking among themselves, this is a homicide scene. How do we handle this?
Wait, the cops are talking to each other saying this is a homicide scene.
It looks like a homicide scene. And then they were not able to, how do we handle this? They were looking for guidance. And then they came out and said, I checked with them, what happened? Did you see my son? Is he there? The only thing I said is, please check and make sure he's traveling. If he's not there, his laptop will not be there, his toothbrush will not be there. That was the only thing I was expecting. I had no idea that this kind of thing can happen. Suchi's point of view is more significant because he writes about the copyright, and he writes in his journal, copyright is very confusing. So he wrote a scientific research paper. The difference between Suchir and others is Suchir proved the copyright violation and he was going to testify, and Suchir knew what exactly goes into training data. To be more precise, OpenAI on November 21st, New York Times released that OpenAI deleted the copyright data that was given in the training that was fed to the AI engine. They deleted the evidence. And who would say, no, that was fed? My son, right? Because he was the one who's feeding the data. So if they silence him, there's no evidence of copyright violation.
The next one is, this was an interesting interview as well. I'll show a clip from it. I won't show all of it, but I would suggest you go and watch it because it's an interesting one. There's the LinkedIn founder, and obviously you can see from the title how to get ahead while others lose their jobs, and obviously talk about artificial intelligence. And the clip I'm talking to you about is, the person interviewing was concerned around what the future looks for our children, and he goes into that. So I would say, obviously, I've got children, and you do kind of think if, people in today's day and age are really worried about AI taking their jobs, then what will it look like? What will the world look like in 15 years or whatever? So it's interesting. But so he goes into that. It's an interesting interview. So check it out. Links in the description.
Yes, of course, AI will not be able to come up with an app, but I'm thinking that in 15 years, I will tell AI, come up with a business idea, code an app or a website, start selling, figure out the marketing strategy. What should I tell my daughters? What should they be learning now? Should they be acquiring academic knowledge or just learning social skills? Because this is what we'll have left.
Well, I think it's always good to learn social skills. But for example, take that thing over, you say everyone is going to GPT-4 and say, give me an idea for a lemonade stand business. Well, it'll give them all the same idea.
But it has the memory feature. So it's
but it has the memory feature for you. It's not necessarily taking that memory feature for other folks. It depends a little bit, and depends on how the learning and training. But generally speaking, say all 5-year-olds were equally provisioned with GPT-4. Which lemonade stands are going to work? Well, the 5-year-olds who think, oh, I should make my lemonade stand with Hello Kitty, right? I know my neighborhood. I know people really like Hello Kitty, so I'll go in and I'll prompt it for what would a Hello Kitty, lemonade stand be? And so that engagement and learning how to use the tool, just like learning how to use an iPhone or learning how to use, a computer, or learning how to use, and obviously, Photoshop and everything else are now going to be much easier because one of the things AI is this the meta tool. And so it'll, as opposed to having to learn all the details of Photoshop, you can just use the AI to say, well, I'm really thinking about something that has this kind of look and this kind of light effect. Can you do that? And it'll figure out how to do that for you, as opposed to all the mechanics. So that kind of visual thinking or creativity or tool use is the thing that you also want to be instilling with a kind of a direction of always be learning.
But fundamentals like mathematics, basic coding is still going to be useful?
I think that the coding mindset is still useful. I don't think yes. I don't think
it's all about the mindset and the way we think.
Yes, exactly. It's a little bit like, people were terrified when calculators came out that people would stop learning math. It's no. But you stop learning I have this whole process of how I carry the one and do all the rest of it. I understand how it works, but I use the calculator or now the computer or the phone to do the math. But I still understand math. I still need to understand math. I still think about math in different ways. I just am not the job of what I am is a human calculating machine. That job doesn't exist.
Yeah. Do you think we'll come to a world where we don't need that many people working?
It's possible. I don't think it's actually, in fact, any near.
Talking of which, this is Google's DeepMind's AGI plan from the Search Engine Journal, and basically like a report, and the report will be in the description, but there's many things that came from it. So some of the highlights include Google's DeepMind believes that AI tools may exceed human capabilities by 2030. Future systems will include built-in safeguards against harmful content. They expect tighter access to advanced AI features based on use cases and trust. And moving on from the same story, like I say, there'll be a link to the paper in the description. But basically they believe human level AI could arrive before 2030, and they're not downplaying the risk. They said it could cause severe harm or even permanently destroy humanity if we're not prepared. The paper outlined 4 main risks: so misuse, bad actors using AI; misalignment, AI goes rogue; mistakes, complex systems failing; and structural risks, incentives, or race dynamics. So I think, obviously this is concerning. I think I've said it before on here. I don't understand why we would keep developing at the rate we are if these are real concerns, which they are. If they're putting them out there, people that the godfather AI and people actually created AI have said it. Elon Musk has said it. Google said it. All the top people that worked with it have warned against the extreme dangers around it and what it could do to the humanity. And it's okay, keep advancing it, but I feel like we're doing it with no guardrails. I think the chances of someone misusing it is extremely high. And obviously we are seeing increased levels of fraud using AI and so on. But that's a kind of minor level where it's targeting individuals through email and stuff. But if someone else gets hold of it, what could easily be done, who has bad intentions, then the whole world's in danger. And then obviously the second one, in terms of going rogue, I mean, the more we if we create, like we are, robots that go onto the battlefield and robots with flamethrowers and things like that. I mean, we're just lining ourselves up for problems. I just don't understand it really. Why we not have from the very start really did a measured approach to building a AI strategy for the world, so the whole of humanity can benefit, rather than putting ourselves in danger and then weaponizing it for war. It's just like we're not learning. But anyway, stop going on. But I think it's crazy. We'll get on to some other stuff around it, which will highlight what I'm saying. Okay, but I can't just be all bad with AI, right? Because it can have some benefits, and one of those is groundbreaking form of AI could speed up drug development by around 6 years. So cancer patients could get access to new medicines in half the current time, while drugs for other diseases will also be speeded up. Scientists have developed a revolutionary AI fingerprint technology that can accurately show how cancer cells respond to new drugs by simply observing changes to their shapes. So, created by experts at Institute of Cancer Research in London, it means scientists can quickly assess the ability of new drugs to reach their intended target, cutting years off the drug development process. And the team believes that the approach could save millions of pounds by highlighting which projects or clinical trials are likely to fail. So, it's all bad. And so, I mean, if we had a proper strategy from the beginning as a collective, we could have been doing this from the very start and not worrying about, making robots to go and kill the robots or other bad intentions based sort of advancements that we've had. So, I think there are some good stories, and this is one of those. Again, we bounce around on here. Hey, went to SEO and so on. But this is one that was interesting. It's a Bing Webmaster Tools Copilot feature now available to all users. So yeah, Copilot in Bing Webmaster Tools promises to provide instant, accurate, and contextually relevant answers to user queries. It is engineered to provide streamlined workflows, enhance productivity, and provide valuable insights, Microsoft said. So yeah, Copilot aims to help webmasters manage their search optimization efforts more effectively, improving workflows, productivity, like I say, providing actionable insights. And yeah, to put some, again, you can go and read the article yourself, so you get the whole picture. But yeah, just some of the top features include like real-time question answer chat, offering personalized, instant, accurate responses tailored to your specific site. Deep data insights provides comprehensive site-specific insights into performance, helping you obviously quickly identify like quick wins and issues. There's learning resources on there, and there's feedback integration, so it continues to improve based on your feedback. So yeah, it's cool. Big Webmaster, I think underrated. Obviously we go on about Search Console a lot, right? So obviously Google has such a high amount of traffic and dominance, but Big Webmaster, I think, is a tool that people should use more, because it does offer some good stuff. And obviously now this integration with Copilot is only going to make things better. Story 36, and I mean, this is, I don't know what people think about this, but I thought it was quite interesting. So it's on Fortune, and China's 6-year-olds are already being offered AI classes in school in a bid to train the next generation of DeepSeek founders. So yeah, starting this fall, primary or secondary schools in Beijing, China, will offer at least 8 hours of AI classes every academic year, with students as young as 6 years old being taught how to use chatbots and other tools, general background on technology and AI ethics. So really interesting. And this article goes into also discuss how other countries are integrating AI into education. So including the UK. So a private school in the UK similarly launched a teacherless classroom last year, where about 20 students use virtual reality headsets and AI platforms to learn this and listen to humans. So, I mean, no job is safe right now. You've got robots building machines in car factories, and you've got teacherless classes in school. So, yeah, it seems like nowhere's safe with AI. So this is one I was touching upon, and this is what I mean. This is not a good use of AI, in my opinion. So high-tech battlefield robots to be built in Britain. So the latest AI-powered battlefield robots are set to be manufactured in Britain for the first time. A leading German military hardware manufacturer building a new facility in the southwest of England that will develop unmanned armored vehicles that will be used on the battlefield. I mean, the thing is, it's all about the risk. And then you're giving AI the rights to go and do the damage over other AIs or humans. It just makes no sense to me why we would use such incredible knowledge and power in terms of our artificial intelligence to do something so, we should be stopping all this. This is a chance for us to actually make life better for everyone with this amount of knowledge and technology, yet we're still using it to weaponize it and to do silly things like this. I don't know. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting one. Story 38, and this is Shopify CEO tells employees to prove AI can't do their job before asking for new hires. I mean, I don't know if this trend's going to continue, because Shopify are a big brand, but Shopify is going all in AI with CEO Toby Lutke. I think, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, telling staff that no new hires will be made unless they can prove AI can't do the job. The move signals a growing shift where AI skills aren't just encouraged, but becoming a core job requirement. So, yeah, interesting. Story 39, and as I said earlier, so Google to expand Discover to Google's desktop homepage. So Google will be bringing Google Discover, the newsfeed, to the desktop version of google.com homepage. Discover can be a huge traffic driver to news publishers, and right now it's primarily only shown at mobile devices when accessing the Google mobile apps or Google mobile homepage. Yeah, that could be, again, another driver of traffic to those type of websites. So story 40, and it's another video, but someone who I always listen to when he talks about AI is Mo Gordat. And yeah, I'll just show a clip. Basically, but they go into everything in terms of, you know, how different countries are using AI, the battle for supremacy, what it may mean for the future of humanity in terms of AI. But yeah, it's really good chat they have.
One thing I want to do before we keep going, and this is something that largely I've gotten distilled from you, is what I call setting the table for what's about to happen. So again, to plant a flag, you and I share a belief, and this is one of the reasons I like talking to you so much, is that, hey, this all ends in utopia, but we go through this brutal interim process that I don't think people understand how scary this is going to get. So setting the table for that, you've got the rate of change is the thing that I think people are just not paying enough attention to. Everybody can wrap their heads around this thing gets smarter than me, but they're not understanding how fast this is happening. So if I'm not mistaken, and I know I'm very close if this isn't exactly correct, AI doubles in power every 5.7 months. So
yeah, I calculated 5.9. So yeah.
Okay. I mean, just like crazy town. So in less than 100%. 6 months, so it's going to double in power twice in a year. That is a rate of change that I think people are going to struggle with. Now, transitional moments always cause disruption. There is a certain rate of change that humans can deal with, but AI exceeds, at least from where I'm sitting, the rate of change that we can handle. And given that, so given that, things begin to spiral out of control. And you said something that I think is, I agree with, which is that AI will have the power of God. So with those, one, do you disagree with any of that?
No, I don't. I just want to double down on it and say that it's at 5.7 or 5.9 months in the absence of new innovation. So you have to imagine that
meaning that this could
OpenAI
break free and go even faster.
100%. If quantum computing is solved, or if you find a completely new algorithm, or if AI start to teach each other rather than wanting us to teach them, if synthetic data becomes much easier to attain, and so on and so forth. There are so many. I mean, DeepSeek was just a blow for everyone. Like a week before, I think, was Stargate, $500 billion. And then DeepSeek comes out and says, we did it, I don't know for how much, like 33 times less than ChatGPT 4.0 or something like that. And it's not, it doesn't matter, because I heard your original analysis on DeepSeek, and that, they were cheating a little. And I agree, but, they're cheating with the same resources that OpenAI had. OpenAI could have taught their model the same way. Actually, as a matter of fact, they would have been more qualified to teach their model the same way.
So yeah, that's it really for this time round. If you stuff it to the end, thank you. Please subscribe, because, we do more of these kind of shows. We've got the chats with industry experts, continuing those. I've got some great panel shows coming up on different topics, plus so much more. So yeah, thank you again. Hope you enjoyed it, and